friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Spar, and today, to wrap up our month of purity culture topics for February, I want to talk about love and lust. Before we get started here, I do just want to remind you that if anything that I have discussed here is something that's resonated with you, if you would like to have a conversation to see if I am able to assist you and help you overcome or recover from any of these past traumas or difficulties, or even just these spiraling thought patterns, then you can get in touch with me. There are links in the description and the show notes. You can send me an email at questions.btcpod@gmail.com. You can schedule a free 60-minute call with me, and we can just see if we'll be a good fit for each other. One more quick reminder here that we are going to be talking candidly about purity culture and about sex and sexuality, and if this is something that is triggering for you, it's not going to hurt my feelings at all if this is an episode that you need to skip on or you have to take a break and come back to it later. There is no judgment, no shame, or anything like that. Trust yourself, trust your body, and do what you need to in order to take care of yourself if you do find yourself dysregulated at all by this topic. Now, in my experience, especially in purity culture, love and lust are two pretty much diametrically opposed forces, because you are either loving someone or you are lusting after someone. And yes, I am being very intentional in how I'm titling this one. It is love and lust, not love or lust. Because I have often found that the concept of lust is one that is vilified in especially Western society, or possibly even in, we'll just say, more modern or industrial societies. And I don't believe or think that it needs to be that way, because with many of the messages that I received growing up, namely that men are out of control sexual beasts or animals that are completely incapable of controlling their sexual urges and desires, lust was always something that was equated to any kind of attraction that a man or just myself would have towards someone else. In the context of the Christian tradition that I grew up in, it was always between me as a man and some other and a woman, if I can get my words out properly here. And there are so many examples of how homosexual relationships are deemed as only around lust, that all it is about the sex, all it is about the physical dynamic of a sexual relationship. That being said, any kind of sexual attraction that I experienced as a teenager, as a young man, was always deemed as being lustful, and therefore it was shame-filled. It was something that I could not trust about myself. I was giving into the hormones and the biochemicals in my brain, the neurochemicals in my brain and in my body. And if my body had a certain reaction where it's like I see someone attractive and I look over and then I decide to take a look again, oh, that was lustful. and I had done something wrong. And let's just say, as another example, that I happened to see a woman who was wearing an outfit that accentuated certain parts of her physical physique and beauty. And therefore, I started having some extra blood run down to my penis and it started to get erect. Uh-oh, I lusted again. And that's bad. And I don't think that is necessary. I don't think it's the truth about any of these kind of situations. And if you had something similar, or say that you even had the experience where you were attracted to someone of the same gender as you, or maybe you're attracted to people from both genders, and that was something that was deemed as being shame filled, if it was something that was wrong with you, know that you're not alone in that. And one of the things I have had conversations with several clients in the past, as we're talking about the nature of relationships and some of these people being single and they're wanting to find a partner, a large portion for many of us, unless you happen to be someone who is demisexual. Just 2 weeks ago, I learned about the term demisexuality, which is someone who is not attracted to someone by their physical appearance or anything that we can visibly sense, but someone who is looking for more of like an emotional or even intellectual connection with someone before they experience sexual attraction. So unless you are one of these individuals, then this might be something that is completely unrelated to your experience. Yet most of the people that I have spoken with, they tend to have an experience of having a physical drive or desire based on what they see and observe about someone's physical appearance. And this is something that is completely normal. And again, I just want to specify, I'm not saying that someone who is demisexual is not normal in any way. The way that you experience sexual arousal, or even if you don't experience sexual arousal and desire, that is totally normal for you. I'm not here to shame any of that. And for people like me who do tend to follow the, I guess, stereotypical norms that men are going to be attracted to other people based on their looks, then this is something that was often shamed. And when I have spoken with clients about this, I have pointed out the value in this kind of physical attraction to someone else. I am someone who typically wouldn't even notice another person unless I found something physically attractive about them. And this is whether we're talking about someone who is masculine or feminine, because I have been able to recognize attractive qualities in men as well. However, this has a purpose. For someone like me, it has a purpose. I find someone who is attractive and I will become curious about that individual. I'll want to get to know them a little more, or at least back when I was single, this is what I would do. But I'd want to get to know them. I would want to see if we were compatible. I would want to see if there was anything there that were like red flags or anything of those qualities. And it served the purpose of helping me to potentially find a partner. So something that was deemed shameful because it was lustful, actually has a very practical purpose in romantic relationships, in dating, in trying to find someone that you are compatible with. And this is where I'm going to return to something that I have done quite often, and I have also become aware over the last couple of years that apparently this is a very Mormon thing to do, where you start having a conversation and you immediately bring up, well, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, but what I would like to do is take a look at the definitions of love and lust. So we'll start first with lust here, because that's the tab I have open. And this is how I feel most people associate lust, is usually intense or unbridled sexual desire. That was what I was told lust was when I was growing up. However, it is also an intense longing. It is enthusiasm and eagerness. Now, if we take a look at love, love is defined as a strong affection for another arising out of kinship or personal ties. Warm attachment, enthusiasm, or devotion. The object of attachment, devotion, or admiration. Unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another, or how a lot of people will refer to it these days, that it's actually sexual intercourse. I don't know what it is about so many people being afraid to even mention the name sex, because it's like as soon as you say sex, oh, it's some kind of a taboo word. However, there are some commonalities here, because lust can be described as this unbridled desire for someone or something, not necessarily just a person. I know a lot of people that will lust after like trading cards or cars or video games or you name it. However, there is more to lust than that. If I remember correctly, this was something I talked about in the What is Love? I believe it was last year during, maybe it even came out on Valentine's Day last year, that I often see, or I've heard it described, that love is a combination of three parts. In a triangle theory of love, love is broken down into three parts. There is passion, there is intimacy, and there is commitment. And these ebb and flow over time. I'm not going to repeat too much of what I said back then. However, lust and passion, to me, they're synonymous with each other. There are times when I am much more passionate in my desire for my partner Libby than other periods. And I could say that those are times where I do have more lust toward her. I have lustful desires, I have lustful thoughts, I have this deep craving for her, to be with her, to touch her, to even be sexually intimate with her, to be around her. This is a form of lust. It's not that my sexual desire is completely unbridled, but it is a deep passion for this person that I love dearly. And thanks to a lot of messages from purity culture, this is something that is vilified. I believe I've already put it that way. This is something that is deemed as evil, as wrong, possibly even demonic. Now, there is a concern for someone who does have the uncontrollable, unbridled desire for someone or something, and they lose their mind over it. They do everything they can in order to obtain, achieve, or be with, in whether we're talking harmless or harmful ways, these individuals or these things. And yet, those, I would say, unfortunately, are the extreme example, and they're also the ones that tend to get the most coverage because of the shock and awe that comes with those stories. Someone who is like that, someone who is a sexual predator in some way, they're someone who is easy to paint as evil, someone who is evil, someone who is easy to paint as a villain. And yet, that's not everyone. And just because we do have people that give into these passions and these desires in an unhealthy way doesn't mean that lust is something that is bad. We can say the same thing about pretty much anything out there. Someone can have this incredible drive to work and provide for their family, and yet you can also have someone who is a workaholic and they throw everything to the wayside in order to achieve and accomplish in work, in trying to make a fortune, or just, let's face it, these days it's even just to get by. You can have someone who is absolutely devoted in their religion and spiritual practice, and you can have the people who are outright fanatics about it. These extreme examples do not mean that things like work, like spirituality and religion, like physical desire, these are bad. That's not what that means. We're talking about some fringe cases, yet we're also talking about the ones that do get a lot of attention, because boy, do those get clicks in social media and just modern or standard media, traditional media. That's the word I'm looking for. So what I am proposing here is loving and lusting. It's not an and or an or. It's not like you have this drive to be physically attracted to someone and then suddenly that attraction, that lust, that passion goes away, and now it's just turned into love, where it's just like a companionship kind of deal, or this mutual respect for someone else. It is something that will fluctuate. Again, there are times when I am low on that passion toward my partner Libby. And that doesn't mean that I'm trying to find passion elsewhere. That means maybe I'm exhausted. Maybe it's a season where I am not feeling any of that desire, any of that pull. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate Libby. Doesn't mean I don't love her at all. It just means the dynamic of our relationship has changed for this season. Because love is so much more than lust. I mean, let's face it. We're all going to age. As soon as we are born. And it's really, really unfortunate and almost bizarre for me to say this, but from the moment we're born, it is just a slow crawl, well, for most of us, to our eventual death. No one has escaped death. And I know there are people who are trying to overcome that. I don't want to be one of those people that lives forever, even if it's like in a simulation or something like that. No, I don't want that. But one of the things that's going to happen, regardless of how well you take care of yourself, is you're going to age. Your body's going to change. You are going to lose out on some things that might have made you very attractive when you were younger. I mean, I don't have much hair on the top of my head anymore. Something that I used to very much enjoy and actually take pride in. And that's okay. I am already having things start to sag where they weren't really saggy before. That's a part of aging. My physical appearance is going to change. Libby's physical appearance is going to change. Your physical appearance is going to change. Things just start to break down. And there are going to be times when that physical notion of lust and desire is going to wane. And then there's going to be times when it builds up again. It's not wrong. It's not wrong when you have the high passion. It's not wrong when your passion is low. It is. Passion is. And that doesn't mean that you don't love someone that you're with. If you're in a polyamorous relationship, that doesn't mean that you are no longer attracted to the people that you are involved with. It's very much just how life is. Passion wanes and it builds. The dynamics of love change. Sometimes it's more about intimacy. It's more about that emotional connection. Sometimes it's more about the commitment of, you know what? I said that I was going to be with you through thick and thin. Oh my word, is this a really thick place that we're in? And it's just, we're experiencing the tumults of life and just don't even know what's going to happen from day to day. But I promised that I would be with you, and I'm going to be with you. These dynamics in a relationship, they all come together to really make something that is beautiful. And unlike the stereotypical Christian view on relationships and love, I'm not saying that this needs to be monogamous between a man and a woman. Absolutely not. I'm going to use my friends John and Dan as an example here. And I believe I have mentioned this before, that I grew up being told that a relationship like theirs is wrong, that it's not holy, it's not what God ordained, whatever bullshit you want to say about it, because it was simply two men that just had this out of control lust toward each other. And yet, the times that I have been around these dear, dear friends of mine, and I have seen the compassion and the signs of love between the two of them, very similar to signs of love that Libby and I have. How there is these strokes of the shoulder, of the back. There's the very warm embraces. There is the loving gazing into each other's eyes. There is the getting up to go get something and offering, hey, can I get you something while I'm up? Or even just asking, it's like, oh, that sounds really good, I'd like to have one too. And the other person is like, absolutely, I'll get one for you. I see so much more in their relationship. And I see the same in the cisgendered heterosexual relationships that I have observed and the one that I live in. I have seen that love. And I've also seen this deep craving that they have to be around each other, to be in each other's presence, to be held close. I have seen examples of partners catcalling at each other. And that's something that would probably just be thrown off as, oh, that's lustful. That's not a good thing. And yet it is also something that is so, so loving. So when you think about a relationship, when you think about a romantic relationship, if you have those thoughts that something such as physical attraction and lust are bad, that they're wrong, I encourage you to challenge that. Check it. Where's that coming from? Who told you that? What does that voice sound like in your head? What are the messages of guilt and shame that you're hearing? Boy, did I have many, and I sometimes still struggle with them today, about making a second look or taking a second glance, about having my eyes linger for longer than people think that they should. I'm not cheating. I'm not thinking of going and having some kind of ravenous physical and sexual interaction with these people. The feelings come and they go, and I allow myself to be me. I am fully committed to my partner Libby. If I wasn't, I probably would not be in this room, in this house, doing these recordings and meeting with people, because there would have been so many times where it's like, nope, I'm done, I'm bailing out, I can't handle this anymore. And there have been times when that passion has absolutely come back stronger than it did before. And then there are times when it just wanes. I just go with the flow. I allow myself to love and lust for my best friend, my partner, the woman who is just down the hall. I allow myself to have those desires. I allow myself to love what I love. I allow myself to lust after what I lust after. I allow the feelings. I recognize them. And at the same time, I don't allow myself to be so overcome with them that I end up doing or saying something that I regret. One of the things that I have had to learn on my deconstruction journey here is that I am not an uncontrollable beast or a monster in terms of my sexual desires. It's taken a lot for me to unlearn. It's taken a lot for me to unpack. I have more control over my thoughts and my actions than I was ever told through purity culture. I was a slave when I was in purity culture. I was enslaved to my desires, and I was weak. That's not who I am anymore. And you don't have to be that way either. If this is something that you'd like to have a conversation about, if you have any questions about what I shared here, please get in touch. I am happy to have a conversation with you. I'm happy to answer some questions here on the podcast. Just know that love and lust, they work together. They really do. In fact, you take a look at synonyms for both of them, and they have a lot of synonyms in common. They are related. So don't remove something that is so valuable and important in your experience, however it looks. Just so long as it's not harming anyone else. That's pretty much the big caveat for me. Just so long as it's not harming anyone else. Just allow it to be. Allow yourself to be you. We'll talk again next week, and I hope that you were able to find some inspiration and possibly even some healing in this conversation. And until next time, live strong for today.